Top 10 Global Headlines, a snapshot of January 16, 2026, presented by Juba Global News Network. Juba Global, Tom. Welcome to Juba Global News Network's daily roundup of the world's most impactful stories on January 16, 2026. The international landscape continues to be shaped by geopolitical flashpoints, economic realignments, climate emergencies, and high-profile legal outcomes. From escalating U.S. Iran tensions and historic shifts in Venezuela to record-breaking wildfires in Australia and landmark acquittals in Milan, today's top stories reflect a world in rapid transition, where diplomacy, military posturing, environmental crises, and digital-era accountability collide. And I am Jasmine. Here are the top 10 stories defining the day, carefully curated and reported by the Juba Global News Network team. 1. Iran faces U.S. ultimatum, all options on the table, as assassination threats escalate amid deadly protests. President Trump warns Tehran of severe consequences after Iranian Mani people. State media airs explicit threats referencing the 2024 Butler assassination attempt. Protests in Iran have claimed thousands of lives, with executions reportedly paused under U.S. pressure. 2. Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado gifts Nobel Peace Prize medal to President Trump. Day factors on the biving ni biped in Kybal Bastalers Adik Casa stage, available to Kybal Fasteries in the lower patients to President Trump, brains in a powerful White House. The 2025 Nobel laureate hands her medal to Trump as a symbol of hope for democratic change in Venezuela, signaling deepening U.S. support for the post-Maduro transition. 3. BJP dominates Maharashtra municipal elections. Lead in over 300 seats. India's ruling Bharatiya Janata Party secures commanding leads in key urban centers ahead of Republic Day, reinforcing its grip on local governance and national momentum. 4. U.S. finalizes first $500 million Venezuelan oil sale post-regime change. The first major oil transaction since Maduro's removal unlocks stranded reserves, with proceeds held in secure accounts to fund reconstruction and stabilize global energy markets. 5. Australian wildfires rage. Victoria's January 2026 blazes trigger insurance catastrophe declaration. Early season fires burn over 400 hectares, destroy hundreds of structures, and force a full catastrophe declaration as insurers correlate, and experts warn of escalating climate-driven risks. 6. South Korea's $350 billion U.S. investment deal delayed until late 2026. Currency pressures on the won, FX volatility, and U.S. legal uncertainty surrounding tariff powers push back the start of this landmark trade-linked investment pact. 7. Trump unveils the Great Healthcare Plan to slash costs and expand access. The president rolls out an ambitious blueprint promising lower drug prices, real-time transparency, expanded private plan options, Medicaid block grants, and tort reform aiming to make healthcare great again. 8. Ongoing Gaza violence. Israeli strikes kill civilians as ceasefire calls grow. Airstrikes in Jabalia and Deir al-Balah claim lives, including a child, while humanitarian conditions deteriorate and mediators push for a phased truce involving hostages and prisoners. 9. Russia bolsters Arctic defenses amid heightened Greenland tensions. New S-400, S-500 deployments, submarine base upgrades, and radar stations along the Northern Sea Route signal Moscow's response to U.S. interest in Greenland and NATO's northern expansion. 10. Chiara Ferragni acquitted in Milan trial. Italian influencer cleared of fraud charges. 0. A love, fashion, And social media icon is fully exonerated in the Pandora Gate case, closing a 3-year legal saga and setting important precedents for influencer marketing accountability. These 10 stories capture the pulse of January 16, 2026, a day of high-stakes diplomacy, economic recalibration, environmental alarm, and personal vindication on the world stage. Juba Global News Network is committed to delivering in-depth, balanced reporting from every corner of the globe. Stay tuned for continuing coverage, exclusive interviews, and analysis as these developments unfold. Juba Global News Network, independent, global, trusted, Juba Global, com. Now. Today's Global News Roundup, in-depth coverage of January 16, 2026, headlines by Juba Global News Network. As the world navigates the early days of 2026, today's headlines paint a picture of a planet in flux, marked by geopolitical brinkmanship, economic realignments, environmental emergencies, and cultural milestones. From the frozen expanses of the Arctic to the bustling courts of Milan, January 16 brings stories of tension, triumph, tragedy, and transformation. Juba Global News Network dives deep into the top 10 developments shaping the day, providing context, analysis, and insights to help readers understand their global implications. 1. Iran faces U.S. ultimatum. All options on the table as assassination threats escalate amid deadly protests. The standoff between the United States and Iran has escalated to a critical juncture, with President Donald Trump declaring all options are on the table in response to alleged Iranian plots against him and a brutal crackdown on domestic protesters. Iranian state television broadcasted threats referencing the 2024 Butler assassination attempt on Trump, captioning images with, "This time it will not miss the target." This provocation has been condemned as overt aggression, with U.S. officials warning of severe repercussions if the killings continue. Protests erupted in late December 2025 over economic woes and political repression, leading to over 2,600 verified deaths, according to human rights groups like HRNA. The U.S. credits its pressure with halting 800 scheduled executions, but tensions remain high. Back-channel diplomacy via intermediaries like Oman explores nuclear, missile, and proxy issues, but experts warn of risks. A U.S. strike could ignite regional conflict, disrupt oil markets, or bolster Iranian hardliners. As Pentagon options range from cyber attacks to targeted strikes, the world watches for de-escalation or confrontation. 2. Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado gifts Nobel Peace Prize medal to President Trump. In a symbolic act of defiance, Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado presented her 2025 Nobel Peace Prize medal to President Trump at the White House. People probably English, EHTANDAOLIN, the legislated to signalize IRAPs and problem more better than more out of self religious light, framing it as a beacon of hope for Venezuela's democratic struggle. Awarded for her nonviolent resistance against the Maduro regime, Machado called the gesture a transfer of solidarity from the Venezuelan people to the leader of the free world. Venezuela's crisis, marked by disputed elections, economic collapse, and a refugee exodus of over 7 million has seen Machado barred from office on trumped-up charges. The meeting underscores U.S. support for a transitional government, with Trump pledging intensified sanctions and potential recognition of an exile administration. Reactions vary. Maduro loyalists decry treason, while international allies welcome the move. Amid oil reforms and reconstruction, this could catalyze change or prolong stalemate. 3. BJP dominates Maharashtra municipal elections. Lead in over one meta process and mamal edges or and mamal simula bias trees what base way yo and then IBC high process 300 seats. India's Bharatiya Janata Party BJP delivered a commanding performance in Maharashtra's municipal corporation elections, leading in over 300 of approximately 100 seats. This victory strengthens the party's urban hold in key cities like Pune, Nagpur, and Thane, building on the 2024 State Assembly triumph. The polls focused on local issues like infrastructure and water, with the BJP's NDA alliance benefiting from development narratives. Opposition MVA factions alleged irregularities, but officials dismissed claims. Nationally, this bolsters PM Modi's agenda ahead of Republic Day and future polls, granting leverage over urban funds and projects. As India advances EU trade talks and navigates global disruptions like Iranian airspace closures, the BJP's momentum signals continued dominance. 4. U.S. finalizes first $500 million Venezuelan oil sale post-regime change. The U.S. sealed its first $500 million Venezuelan oil deal since Nicolas Maduro's removal, marking a key step in revitalizing the nation's energy sector. Proceeds are held in secure Qatari accounts to fund reconstruction, bypassing corruption. Interim President Delcy Rodriguez proposed hydrocarbon law reforms to attract foreign investment. In the Orinoco Belt, home to vast reserves, Trump frames this as part of U.S. energy dominance, urging companies like Chevron to invest billions. Critics raise concerns over U.S. oversight and creditor claims, but the sale could stabilize markets and aid recovery from years of decline. Production fell from 3 million to under 1 million BPD. Future sales promise economic revival if stability holds. 5. Australian wildfires rage. Victoria's devastating January 2026 blazes spark insurance catastrophe and renewed climate concerns. Australia's southeast battles ferocious early-season wildfires with over 400 hectares scorched in Victoria alone. The Insurance Council declared a catastrophe, with 369 claims and 900-plus structures destroyed. Fire ignited by lightning amid 40 degrees Celsius plus heat and winds, drawing Black Summer comparisons. 1 death confirmed, thousands of livestock lost, and hospitals overwhelmed. Experts blame compound climate factors, prolonged heat, dry fuels, and extreme weather. As containment efforts continue, calls grow for better land management and resilience funding. This crisis underscores Australia's vulnerability in a warming world. South Korea's $350 billion U.S. investment deal delayed until late 2026. South Korea's $350 billion investment pledge in U.S. sector tied to tariff cuts will not start in H1 2026 due to one weakness, FX volatility, and U.S. tariff legality challenges. Finance Minister Koo cited unsuitable conditions for outflows capped at $20 billion annually. The deal targets shipbuilding, nuclear, and tech, but delays provide relief amid currency lows near 1,473 USD. U.S. Supreme Court ruling could alter tariffs, prompting Seoul's caution. This reflects broader U.S. Asia recalibration under Trump, balancing alliances with economic safeguards. 7. Trump unveils the Great Healthcare Plan to tackle rising costs. Trump launched the Great Healthcare Plan, promising 15-25% premium cuts through drug price reforms, transparency, expanded plans, Medicaid block grants, and tort limits. It revives most favored nation pricing and bans surprise bills. Republicans applaud, but Democrats call it a corporate giveaway. Implementation mixes executive actions and legislation, amid debates on coverage and costs. This ambitious reform aims to fulfill long-standing promises in a divided Congress. 8. Ongoing Gaza violence. Israeli strikes kill civilians as ceasefire calls grow. Israeli strikes in Gaza killed 7, including a child, amid stalled talks. The IDF targets Hamas, but humanitarian collapse looms. 80% face food insecurity. Hospitals barely function. Mediators push a 90-day truce for hostages and aid, but Netanyahu insists on Hamas dismantlement. UN and ICJ efforts highlight global pressure, as regional spills Hezbollah exchanges risk escalation. Over 44,000 Palestinian deaths underscore the urgent need for peace. 9. Russia bolsters Arctic defenses amid Greenland tensions. Russia expands Arctic military. S-400, 500. Systems, submarine upgrades, radars along the NSR. Shoigu cites U.S. Greenland moves as provocation. Trump's facing negotiations and purchase talk fuel rivalry with climate change opening routes. Indigenous concerns rise over environmental impacts in this emerging great power arena. 10. Chiara Ferragni acquitted in Milan trial. Fashion icon speaks out. Chiara Ferragni was acquitted of fraud in the Pandorogate case, with judges finding no criminal intent in the misleading charity-linked campaign. The verdict ends a saga for the influencer 29M+ followers, setting precedents for digital marketing. Ferragni vows transparency as her brand rebounds amid regulatory Closing remarks reflecting on January 16, 2026. As the clock turns on January 16, 2026, the world once again reminds us how interconnected and fragile our global moment truly is. From the high-stakes brinkmanship between Washington and Tehran, where nuclear shadows and street-level suffering collide, to the symbolic handover of a Nobel medal in the White House that may one day mark the turning point for millions of Venezuelans. From the saffron wave sweeping Maharashtra's municipal ballots to the first barrels of post-Maduro oil finally reaching global markets, the day has been defined by power shifts, both literal and symbolic. We watched flames devour Australian bushland far earlier, and fiercer than expected, forcing insurers to declare catastrophe while scientists quietly update the timeline of what normal now means. We saw South Korea hit pause on a $350 billion promise to the United States, not out of rejection but out of prudent fear of currency chaos. We heard President Trump lay out an ambitious healthcare vision that will either reshape American medicine or join the long list of unfulfilled White House blueprints. In Gaza, the same tragic arithmetic continued: more lives lost, more rubble, more urgent but still distant calls for ceasefire. In the Arctic, Russia laid fresh concrete and steel across frozen ground, answering perceived encirclement with unmistakable resolve. And in a Milan courtroom, Chiara Ferragni walked out acquitted, closing one of the most watched chapters in the short but intense history of influencer accountability. A reminder that the digital age rules are still being written in courtrooms, boardrooms, and comment sections alike. These 10 stories are not isolated headlines. They are threads in the same fabric. competition for resources, or 8 supply protests capit Indo-Litro entry of those normal like spite race IFSB process, and influence the accelerating cost of climate instability, the persistent search for diplomatic off-ramps in perpetual conflicts, the recalibration of old alliances under new leadership, and the ongoing negotiation of trust in a world where everyone has a megaphone. At Juba Global News Network, our mission remains unchanged: to report the facts clearly, provide context responsibly, and let readers draw their own conclusions. The world on January 16, 2026 is neither hopeless nor triumphant. It is moving fast, and in multiple directions at once. Tomorrow will bring new developments, new decisions, and new chances to shape the outcome. Thank you for watching with us today. We will be back tomorrow because the story never stops. Juba Global News Network. Independent, global, trusted news network. Visit at jubaglobal.com. And I am Jasmine, and you can also call me